All right, guys. Hey, hello. What a wonderful, incredible day to have a wonderful, incredible conversation. John Leroy, Apparel Redefined. How are you, dude? What's happening?
Doing good, Kurt. Hard to believe it's another week, but closer closer to winter here in Chicago, which is crazy. Uh, but yeah,
Let's
happy.
Weather's great.
Hey,
It
let's
is
not,
great. Yeah,
it's still we still got baseball season. We're full-fledged football, so we'll just take it one day at a time. So, temperatures are dropping just a little bit,
just a
but
little bit. Yeah.
wonderful time of year. And so, and again, I'm just still admiring your wonderful studio. I've got total studio envy right now. And then just to make it even worse, we've got our guest here today, our wonderful friend Chris. Chris, how are you, dude? Look at the background you've got going on. What's happening in your world?
Yeah, so it's like promo threw up in here. That's where I live in that space. So a lot of these are projects. This is just the hairy cow. And it also looks like perfect devil head, horns.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it comes in handy. I got projects back here. They've done a lot of fun things that I enjoy, like good bourbon from Booker's, um, Jim Beam. I got stories going back where that's how I kind of got into promos, doing stuff with Jim Beam. I used to own a bar, and I just saw like firsthand how promo can just nurture a community, and that's what I love about it. And that's why I got into this. Like it is, if done right, it creates nostalgia, and
Well,
that's what I love about this.
Well, I absolutely love it. So,
So
man, I
yeah,
just really impressive background here. And so we just want to dive in, just share a little bit about your branding guru. You eat, drink, breathe, and sleep branding. Just absolutely love that. And so, we're going to dive into your company and what you guys do. But before we go there, share a little bit what drove your passion. How'd you choose this career path? What really drove you to be the branding guru?
so I think it was 2002, maybe. I used to own a bar called Kryptonite. It was a live original music bar, and we go to these meetups with different bar owners for the Illinois Beverage Association. And this bunch of bar owners getting together, give them a reason to drink, and just complain. Can I swear on this? It's kind of going to happen, so let's make sure. Say, hey,
Fine
just
by
try
me.
and okay. So they just love to bullshit with each other. It's all and complain, and everybody's complaining about how everybody stole bar glasses. Like if it had a logo on it, like a Bass, or ours was Red Hook, which of course I don't have one right here in front of me. But everybody's complaining about it. And what I did was I took a glass, and one side of it, did a whole bunch of series of them. Of course, I'm annoyed I don't have it here. But it said on there, Kryptonite insisted I took this. Okay. So what to me was the problem was the opportunity. Everybody's complaining about it. Well, I saw an opportunity. So I did a co-branding thing with Red Hook. They paid part of the glass. I paid 97 cents. And by doing that, I went through just under 1,500 cups in a matter of 3 months. Now, you say, all right, Chris, $1,500, but that was over 20 years ago. And if I post a photo of Kryptonite since I took this, it still shows up in people's covers. Like it'll show up in news feeds, like people tag me on it still to this day, 20 years later. I don't know a better use of money that has a 20-year shelf life, if not more. Something simple.
Cool.
And at
Yeah.
that time, I was going to a bunch of after parties, so everybody was busting it out of their cupboard and say, "No, no, I didn't take this." They insisted I took this, so it became a marketing piece, and it got my community talking about me, and I loved it. And you can see now I've done tons of 1 cents. I've done a series, I think about 50 different types of co-branded cups, and it was always a staple. And it's something I now sell to other bars and friends. And we just used one. We were talking about Cheap Trick earlier, and Bonnie Carlos, a good friend of mine, just passed, Dan McMahon, and to help raise money for his battle with cancer he just lost, he was able to get these glassware partners in our community, and they're coming to different communities too, called rural vintage maps, and they take maps from civil planning that they got back from the as early as 1800s up to the mid 1950s, and then they target historic areas. And one was the Olympic Tavern. They did Dan's face on it with this, and it became a great fundraiser. So this is a way that the thing I love about it is like you can personalize it, you can help give a hand up versus a handout, and you have something that you will forever treasure. Like that's what I love about it. That's what I got into. So I've done probably a good 1,000 promotions, events, over 1,000 I've run. I still do one to this day called Screw City Beer Fest. It's been 15 years. And the way I market and market myself is very counterintuitive, where I do absolutely no marketing. We make one post 3 months in advance of the event, and it sells out typically in about 5 to 10 minutes online. And the way I market myself is the same way. I've done a pretty good job removing my name and my phone number off social media. My website, it makes it harder to contact me because I'm 100% referral based, and we can jump into this, but I accidentally stumbled onto this back during COVID, where I was getting overwhelmed with production. And I was getting nice referrals, but they're like these small one-offs, two-offs, little short run stuff. And I have no problem doing that, occasionally. But as you guys know, it takes just as much time to put together an order for 1,000 pieces as it does for 10 pieces. So I try and focus on the 1,000+ piece runs or 100-piece runs of stuff. But my friends were nice, my customers were nice to refer me out. And I just kind of said, hey, do me a favor, please stop referring me out without my permission. And the next thing they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I greatly appreciate it, but you know how I work, and you like the attention I give you, and I love that you want to share me with your friends, but I can't properly serve you and them at the same time. Like, you're my ideal client. Now, if you have ideal clients like you that get me and we're doing type of orders, by all means, let's have that conversation. But please stop referring me out. And I did that with all my customers, just because I was just in a mood, and it's like, hey, just heads up. And I have like a core base of 12 main clients. Well, the next thing I know, it was like maybe a week or two later, I started getting some phone calls like, hey, I heard you print t-shirts. It's like, I'm sorry, how'd you get my number? I'm like, what? I'm like, how did you get my number? Like, oh, you print t-shirts? I'm like, yo, that's kind of what I do. But how'd you get my number? Because I removed my information. You had to get it from somebody. I need to have a talk with them before we can continue this conversation. And that changed the dynamic of price went out the window. Like, they were no longer concerned, like, because it's that idea of like everybody prints t-shirts, right? I know 10 guys, printing out of the garage alone. Like, so what makes this guy so special? It's like, and I started having my customers communicate me as, I call it a branding concierge. For a lot of them, it makes it very simple. It gives that elevator pitch. Like, what does your guy do? It's a concierge. You tell them what you want, they'll take care of it. You want to get the best seats to a restaurant, show. You're going to pay a little higher price, but you're going to get superior service, quality, and everything's taken care of. And that's how I stumbled into this. Like, it's just really, because before COVID, I was doing this on this, not I want to say on the side, but, you're an entrepreneur, you work 80 hours a week. So 40 hours of that and 40 hours doing events, promotions. And then COVID hit, and then it became 100% now, or 99% all promo goods. So, and I'm obsessed with it. I closed my bar with the intent of getting into this industry because I saw at my grocery store, my son was like 4 years old at the time. We literally saw two people stop in the middle of an aisle and talking because they're wearing Screw City shirts. And I just kind of stood there in awe. And the guys kind of looked over as they noticed this, this few minutes, or looked at us like, can I help you? And my son's like, that's my dad's shirt. I'm like, huh? I'm like, that's my festival. I do the fast. And the instant, like, it was instant kindred spirits. And it was just like, man, this is it. Like, this is cool. And I was hooking my buddies up at the time with the company I was working at. And then I don't, John, I know you're self-employed, and Kurt, I don't know if what your background is, but mine was, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I'm a horrible employee. So I went to work with my friend. I was constantly like, everybody was so concerned about telling me what their job wasn't. I couldn't handle it. Like, it took more time to tell me why you couldn't do it versus could have been done. Or, who's going to catch the blame if something goes wrong? It's like, it shouldn't be as difficult. So they hired this consultant, Mark Cruderay, and I'm sure you know that name. If you're printing, he is the guru of high volume printing and business. He doesn't touch a consulting job for under 100 grand. Just an all around badass. So he was mentoring me in his Catalyst Accelerator, and all the stuff he was telling us not to do was the stuff I was doing and what to focus on. It's like, I get it, but I'm just not there yet. I didn't know how to get there yet. So I was causing all this trouble around my friend's shop, and I told him, like, it's the old joke, like, hey, doctor, hurts my touch here, hurts my touch here, hurts my touch here. It's like, it's easy. I have a broken finger. Like, dude, I'm your broken finger in the company. Like, you don't want me. And I left there, and I told him it took me a while to find what I want to do, and I did my own hybrid version of the promo business. And it's like, I'm calling it Ronin. I had a lunch with him and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm doing a lot of events, but I'm going to do promo under this brand. And he's like, well, you're now competition to me. I'm like, oh, it sucks, because you're like my mentor, you're my best friends. I didn't want to screw up your company. Like, I know I was causing a lot of headaches in your team. And then I got hooked up with Jim Gordon through Promo Kitchen. Are you familiar with Promo Kitchen in our industry? Have you heard of it? It's a non-for-profit from the PPAI organization that you get mentored by people across the country. Basically, mine was out of Arizona. And lo and behold, 6 years later, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, just because this industry is funny. It has two flip sides to it. There's those that are very, secret of how they do stuff, and those are usually people that are just throwing somebody else's logo on some random piece of stuff that, they don't know why they're using that garment. Like, you see, like, I use a lot of all-made stuff, and I love what Ryan Moore's doing with the sustainability and the passion he puts behind it. Like, there's reasons to my madness, and that's what I share with my clients. And when you connect that passion level, it becomes like, I think that's the defining factor, what separates you from the next person. So I'm a very firm believer in that idea of radical transparency. I got it from that book Principles by Ray Dalio. That I don't have that, as my wife would say, I miss the filter between my brain and my mouth. It's just radical transparency. Yeah. So working with Jim and doing my own thing allows me to just be me. My customers know, and the ones that my main buyers, I usually preface it and let them know my flaws, my history, my background, and those who want to know, like, I always make the joke. In my youth, I wasted I told my wife the same thing when we first met. I wasted my youth, at least half my youth, on women, alcohol, and drugs, and the other half I just wasted. So, like, I know where I've been. I've done a lot. I've had a lot of fun, owning a bar. I worked for a record label in Malibu for a few years. I owned it with Warner Records and Ryko Disc. And I just, wherever I turned, I always saw promo as part of a serious part of any business we were part of. And anybody that's not utilizing promo as part of their business is losing investments on their dollars, in my opinion. It's the only thing you see, touch, feel, and experience. It could bring back, you grab that cup, and I remember the day I designed this cup. And the people that get it remember the day where they got the cup at. The t-shirt, you do a nice t-shirt, and it becomes their favorite tee. You don't do sorry, Gildan. I usually still have customers because I won't sell a Gildan shirt unless my customer absolutely insists, and I usually talk them out of it. Mm-hmm. I hope you're not sponsored by Gildan.
Not yet, no. Probably not ever. But
they own everything now, it seems like. So my point is, like, always differentiate, always find that little difference. Originally I wanted to be a chiropractor, I thought, in college, until I had this teacher in Business 101 with Mr. Bogert, and this idea of, you think the difference between Pepsi and Coke, and it's what? It's just a little bit of difference. The difference between Target and Walmart is what? They sell 99% of the same stuff. It's just a little variation, this perception. And that's all business is, this filling that little gap. And the greater you can, focus your niche, I think the better chance of getting rich. It's where you say it niche doesn't rhyme as fun. So
yes.
Yeah.
Riches are in the niches. And man, Chris, so much gold right there, John. I'm not even sure where to start. First off, our deepest sympathies to losing your friend. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your journey. Now, I know for the guy that says you're anti-social media, John, I do want to share a couple of comments that I think Chris has one of the best about sections I've ever seen on LinkedIn. And I'm a LinkedIn junkie, Chris. So I just want to share a couple things with you real quick, John. I live and love branding for businesses and special events. It's my niche right there. There's your word, Chris, niche. my wheelhouse, my obsession. And then you mentioned the grocery store with your 4-year-old, and I love this. You have it right on your LinkedIn. Maybe you don't even remember this.
I don't
Ask
remember. Yeah, that
yourself,
makes sense though.
yeah, ask yourself, when was the last time you made a connection with your brand, your vision, your passion, and you never knew it until you saw someone wearing your t-shirt that you made for an event or your business while you're running errands at the grocery store, or somebody's at the bank using your pen. And so I love the enthusiasm that you share, and just I had high expectations coming into our call, and you're just absolutely crushing it. So you have a company, Ronin
Yep.
Branding. So where's the name come from, and how do you, now you've dove in, covered
Yeah.
some of this, the niche. Share with folks how you and your team, how do you guys make the world a better place?
So Ronin came from when I told my friend I was leaving. That Ronin is a samurai and no longer has a master. And some Ronins will go from scenario to scenario where they're needed. And that's kind of how I went about starting my company. Was it, like I would tell my customers, like, if I can't add value, then you don't need to do business with me. Like, I'm here to serve a purpose. And then if I can't serve that purpose, I'll be very transparent. And it's like, to this day, hey, I just need to get some coasters done for my bar. It's like, dude, just go to coasters.com. Like, you're going to get cheaper than I can. Like, I'm not going to add any value to you. You've already got design. It's not worth my time. It's not worth your time for me to mark it up on you. And you're savvy enough. Like, here's the link. And that, things like that. It's that idea of, and I have it written on my board when I walk in and I walk out. Like, I do a laptop, you can turn it over if you want, but you can see how messy my office is. Worse than this. But it's what value did I add today? That's and what value will I add today? And so I kind of start off every day. So I have my notepad, and it's like, all right, what value am I bringing today to my projects? And I start every morning off. I try, like Sunday nights, I'll do a preview kind of the week. Monday morning, I double check. Here's my list of to-dos. Monday night, all right, did I get these things done? We'll transfer to Tuesday. And, it's just a running list of like, man, today I screwed up. I've had those situations, and I read a lot. The book by Jocko Wilkins, because I'm going to say his right. Everyone knows Jocko. That Extreme Ownership, and that book fucked me up. I didn't sleep right for 2 weeks. I don't think. No, and it's funny because I actually own a production shop in-house too, but I outsource the majority of my stuff to Apparel Redefined because I'm not adding value to my business by me printing my own stuff. I can go in that in a minute here, but I did screw up on my first orders when I bought this shop, and I had about $8,000 in inventory. It was one of those emails where we use commonsku, which John, I've showed with you before. Kurt, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it basically subject line, it gives pictures, it gives identification, it gives colors, sizes, and it says blue shirts in picture. And the client receives the shirts and said, hey, I don't use blue shirts, I use black shirts. I'm like, and we have manuals here, and it's a 2-color, 2-location, and it's a pain in the ass to print with manuals. We're printing 1,000 shirts. And I didn't know Apparel Redefined at the time, otherwise I would have been on the phone with my amazing rep, Derek, which I can just go on and praise you guys, like how great you are to communicate with. And that's another reason why I love working with you guys. But normally in the past, I'm a huge thing with accountability. Like, I love accountability when I screw up, but it's like, hey, you did this, you did that. And it's like, I read that book, and it's like, I kid you not, it was maybe like 30 seconds of like, fuck it, it's my fault, I'll make it right. And I called up all my buddies. We got as you know, John, I'm sure you've seen this, when you have over 800 pounds, you have to use ground, the different freight. So I broke the order in 3 pieces. So I got the next day shipping, and then we printed it all and turned around, got everything here by 10 a.m. and it was out the door in a FedEx truck by 3 o'clock. And just made it right for him, and no charge. And we paid for the shipping back, and I ended up selling the majority of the garments over the next 2 years. But it was that, like, everybody screws up, and you see in our industry people complaining like this supplier did this and this person did that, and it's like, how much was really your fault? How much did you not communicate, like, really with your vendor, that you had this timeline, or you had this need, and you had this little twist that wasn't in the notes, and that's shame on you. Like, so that's made it easier for me to work with people. It's made it easier for people to work with me. And, the nice thing about what I do now is I tell my customers and my buyers, and I'm your guy behind the curtain. I'm like, another thing I use is my branding ghostwriter, basically. If you're like a journalist with a ghostwriter, book ghostwriter, but your branding ghostwriter is nobody knows who you are. I'm just putting your life out there. And here's the good thing. And things look great, they look awesome, you get a lot of recognition, take all the credit. And then if something goes wrong, my fucking promo guy fucked up. I'm sorry. Like, throw me under the bus. That's what I'm here for. And I'm happy to take that. And, it's worked out phenomenally well for me.
So John, let's pull you in here. Just so share a little bit of what's your takeaway, what you're hearing so far from Chris, and I'd love to share a little bit on like your relationship with Chris.
Yeah, it's the passion and commitment to the customer, and understanding you can't be everything to everyone, I think is a really good point there. Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink. I absolutely love Jocko. I've seen him live a bunch of times, all of his books, and we have our leadership team read his books just because of the take home value, not just at work, but at home, parent, father, leader, all those things apply. So really good stuff there. But yeah, it's in his space, we the PPAI ASI world, it's difficult. It really is about how cheap can you do things. You're a broker competing for jobs, and it just becomes a race to the bottom, and it's difficult to sustain and retain. And I think you've really carved out your niche in adding value. Like, I wrote that down because that's something I definitely will borrow, if you don't mind. But how have I added value today, and what will I do to add value tomorrow? It's a really good takeaway message that it hit hard. It's really cool.
Yeah. So that alone's become like a litmus test of how I take on a project. Can I add value? If I can't, then I don't do it.
Okay.
I don't go to the next step.
Yeah.
So it helps, it saves time.
Yeah, it's a powerful North Star for you, Chris. And just, having the ability, back to like, John, we like using that line, niche down till it hurts. It hurts to tell a customer that I'm not going to take your order. It hurts to, work with a customer that, how admirable of what you did, Chris, to make that situation right. And just, you took the bullet and just like, hey, it's on me. I'm going to fix this. I got it. And just look at the trust, what you did is you planted seeds. You're a gardener. You planted seeds for the long-term relationship by establishing that trust, instead of like looking short-sighted of like, hey, how am I going to get out of this mess? How do I pass the buck and, share this, because our egos get involved, right? So let's go here, Chris. I mean, man, this is a good conversation. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a business. Now, you work with a wonderful, amazing group of folks. You have our friends here at Apparel Redefined. When when the other person does mess up, like, what are you looking for like those real strong, healthy relationships? You gave a wonderful shout out to our friend Derek at Apparel Redefined. What are some of the traits that you're looking for to build those long lasting, healthy, trusting relationships that have helped driven your success?
Reasonable response time, open, communication. Like, there's been things that have gone wrong with very few orders. I say like our error margin, I believe, is well under 2%, if not 1%, with jobs we've sent to them. And the one thing that did fail, I just let them know, hey, this failed. And like, well, yeah, I could see in the email there's almost like a defensiveness. I'm like, no, I'm not asking, not charge me for it. I'm not asking for anything. I'm saying, like, hey, one piece failed. I don't know why. It happens. And the thing I let them know is like, hey, your success rate's way better than mine. That's why I outsource it. So I'm just letting you know, in case you saw something, because I keep notes and documentation of how I press stuff, when we press stuff. We the humidity of the day. I'm just completely, not the fun way. So, yeah, and I've been in their shop. I've seen their team. I've seen the ownership their team takes. Part of the thing, I got suckered into it, and I searched for years to find the right partner in decorating, and it was off I think you end up buying Joshua Foster's business, right? That Gray
No,
area.
no,
You guys worked out. You guys,
yeah,
well,
I mean,
he's how I got to you. He was doing business with you, and
yeah, we're doing his production. Yeah.
yeah. And he's another way. He has his own shop. He had one of those big fancy rock machines you guys got, which is so flipping cool. You know, you guys have the best toys, and I don't want to invest $1 million in a business like that. Like, I'll let the guys that want to be specialty in this. So I want to move back to the North Star. It's funny. So the North Star, there's a North Star connection. So Jim Gordon is out in Phoenix, Arizona. He is North Star Promotions, North Star Identity, that is. He's always been my North Star too, ironically. So we kind of craved out our own hybrid system of Ronin, as I say, an affiliate of North Star. So he does my invoicing, billing. I'm such an ADHD person. I'm hyper. It's like I'm done the project. I'm on to the next thing. Oh yeah, I collect from him. Like that was always one of my biggest downfalls. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're doing so well. I was like, yeah, I'm killing it, but I got 90 grand out 30 to 90 days right now. And we're always wait, where's the money? I'm like, I gotta get send these emails out. Yeah. So like, I just know your weaknesses. Like that's the thing. I found a partner that compliments me. In this industry, it's so easy to be shady and gouge a little nickel here, a dime there, and adds up over time. But anytime that we've had that possibility, it's gone the opposite way of like, it's been overly, no, I'll take care of it. Or you take care of it. I got this. Like we're fighting to make sure the other person's good versus like that short term, like, well, he's not going to know.
Yeah.
So it's just been 6 years to that. And that's the same thing I do with my clients. So we talk about this knowing who you are and extreme ownership. I think a lot of it goes down to that golden rule: treat people how you want to be treated. And there's been lots of times where I've gotten t-shirt orders, and now this company stopped buying t-shirts last year when they did a buying freeze and hoping to get the business back because it was constantly like 600 to 1,000 t-shirts every week. And for 3 years I was doing that printing with them. And then at that time, they had a lot of big sizes between 2X and 6X. And we're talking a few hundred pieces. And at the time it was Cutter and Buck had their not the spin tee, but their classic tee that they're offering. And they don't charge for up sizes. So I'm like, hey, if you want, we can just use this black shirt in these plus sizes. It's very similar to what you're currently using. The only catch is it's going to save you a few $1,000s. Are you okay with that? I'm like, what? I'm like, I know you okayed the sale to pay a higher price, but if you're all right with me saving you like $1,000 or $2,000, just let me know. I'm like, yeah. So like, you weren't used to somebody doing that. Like I was constantly looking out for their money. And, if I had a sale price going on, like, hey, these are on a closeout right now, let's just use these. You're cool with that. I can't guarantee this price will be here next month, but we got it right now. So if you're cool with it, let's do this. Like, are you kidding me? Absolutely. So it was just constantly like just being transparent as possible. There are things that I have way better margins on where I have to do very custom, unique stuff that it's hard to find, and that really niche thing we're talking about. But the cut and repeat stuff, man, just don't get greedy, and your customers will be loyal to you since you're loyal to them. It's not rocket science.
Awesome. All right, man. I know, man, Chris, I could listen to you for hours, dude. I know we're coming into time. I'm going to start winding down. This has been like a pure masterclass, John. Any takeaways, thoughts that you want to share? What we've heard from, God, this was like, Chris, you better charge us for like this class. Cause like, this was like a total masterclass. John, what are your thoughts so far?
Just part of his intro story, it just brought back a memory. I don't think my parents were watching this, but maybe I could tell them to watch. But different type of cup, but I had an obsession with cups from like, 6 years old to about 12, 13. And I was fortunate enough to go to a lot of baseball games, a lot of hockey games. And back in those days, the souvenir cups were awesome. And
oh, yeah.
we would wait till the end of the game, and I would walk around, not a care in the world, not the hypochondria that you see kids now, and parents, but I would walk out of the games with 300-400 cups, half filled with beer, dumping the beer out, peanut shells all over, just disgusting. And then throwing it in the back of my parents' car and then using the dishwasher. And like over the years, I mean, thousands and thousands of cups. And my parents like, why do you want all these? And like the first thing that came to mind is like, when I get to college, I'm gonna throw keggers and everyone's gonna have really cool cups. And they're like, how do you know what a kegger is? It's like, I'm like, and then I went away to college and I didn't bring them with because I didn't have room in the dorm. And then I got back when I was ready to move into my house and all the cups were gone. My mom threw them away. So, but I did she kept a couple of the cool ones for me, the holographic ones. And yeah, it was really cool because like, I just remember what game it was at, the score, what happened, you know, by looking at a cup. And it is cool. We talk about, we don't make memories, we make t-shirts, or we don't make t-shirts, we make memories. And that same type of concept applied to a cup. And yeah, I was also guilty then in my college days, stealing cups from bars. And now my bar is a cup from all the cool bars I went to. So yeah, it's cool.
Awesome stuff. You know, and John, we'll have to talk to your mom about denying you those cups at the keggers, you know, like what's going on here. So, Chris, as we wind down, I've got, first off, I want to thank you so much, man. What an honor, what a privilege to hear your story and your passion, your enthusiasm for what you bring for your clients on your website. So first off, I strongly welcome everybody connect with Chris Wachowiak.
Yeah. Wow.
Was that right?
Nicely done. That was perfect.
That's what I thought. Okay, man, how about that one, John? I practiced that out. So go to roninbranding.com. Strongly encourage you, check out Chris. Chris, my last question for you, and again, just to continue this masterclass, and I'm asking John shamelessly just for me. You talk a lot about getting bold, branding boldly. What advice do you have for whether it's a new entrepreneur or maybe the seasoned older guy like myself that's an entrepreneur? What advice do you have? How do we brand boldly? What do you have for us there?
So the biggest thing, and this will connect, I promise you, but it was, I think 2007, Micro was doing dirty jobs at the time. And he had this saying that, you know, people always talk about following a passion. I think it's a complete horseshit. Like, yeah, it's great. You say that, but in theory, then all these people I'm interviewing and I'm doing these shows with are literally knee deep in shit. Like, you know, just doing the most disgusting jobs, and you see them smiling ear to ear. And that's because what they learn to do is bring their passion to whatever they do. And that is always stuck with me. I don't follow my passion. I see what passion I can bring. And that's what I look for every single job. Is like, even if it's the most mundane, routine, cut and repeat, it's like, no, I got to attack this with passion. And it's been a lot of it work with discipline too. Like that idea of Mike Tyson is do something. Discipline idea is doing the things you hate like you love it. Because this job can be very boring at times, and it's not all fun. It's a lot of grinding, and just the biggest thing is like, all right, I'm going to attack the things I hate the most right now first and get those done with. And then it just becomes fun. And I've kind of reprogrammed, and my wife makes fun of me. It's like, oh yeah, of course, there's another opportunity. I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, I don't have problems. I just see like, okay, there's an opportunity here. Where is it? And I literally can't focus on the bad. And maybe it's part of the ADHD, but it makes it horrible for when we're fighting and stuff, because like I can't remember why she's mad at me, because I'm like, what is great? Like, you're awesome. Like,
superpower.
Yeah. What? It's like, no, you've got to pick up the kids. Oh yeah. No,
like today? Yeah.
No, I got my alarm set now. I get set reminders so I don't forget.
Well, excellent. Well, Chris, I absolutely, all right. So just a few takeaways. You know, we talked about, you know, what value do I bring? You've talked about, you know, the riches are in the niches, or riches are in the niches, however you pronounce it. And as you were talking, you know, about, you know, just doing those basic mundane things, you know, I love the story. I look over your shoulder. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I think you have Beatles above you. If I see that correctly.
In fact, that's just a box. Like, that's how much I love packaging. Like, this is just a box.
It's just a box.
That the socks came in, and I just love the packaging. Like, that's every aspect. There's a 360 approach to everything. Like, I love, like, when you're sending out T-shirts, like, you know, how do you label it? Do you put a nice little, do you put a nice little box? You put it in, you know, tape, and you know, it's just like everywhere there's a touch point. Like, don't miss the details. Like, it's everything. Like, you get excited when you see that stuff in the mail. Like, the experience starts there.
Right. So.
I do want to touch one more thing, because this is something I think John will appreciate. So as we talk, I have my own manuals here. I have 3 sets of manuals. I have, you know, everything to do, everything one off pretty easily. So since I love printing t-shirts and I love selling t-shirts, every month I make a different slogan or shirt or an idea. This one is perfectly imperfect.
Nice.
You know, and then my logos. This is a golf season, so I do a lot of this. I stumbled onto this golf brand idea a few years ago. My buddy's called the PHE, the Play Around Guys, since the PGA. And I had the guy drinking beer. And then I made my own little Ronin Samurai holding the golf club that I worked in. But last month was impact over impress. And I got that from John C. Maxwell's book about communication. I tell the story, I write letters. I send out to my customers and say, here's how you impacted me. And the idea of impact over impress is, if you want to impress somebody, tell them all about yourself. But if you want to impact them, tell them about all your shortcomings and, you know, your vulnerabilities, and you're going to impact people. And that's what branding should do. We talked about the nostalgia thing. It should impact you. If you're doing branding right, it should impact over impress. If you impact somebody, it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. And here's how you impacted me for the rest of my life. And thank you. And this is my gift. So every month I do a gratitude gift, we call it. And my logo is always hidden in there. And it's all about the message, because nobody cares. Everybody's conversation piece is their favorite is themselves. So we print it for themselves. Like, remind yourself, like, it's not about you, it's about your customer and what would they appreciate, and or what would make them feel appreciated. Let them know that you're grateful to work with them. And that's the biggest thing. Like, keep grateful and have that attitude of gratitude. That's not easy. Thoughts, feelings, and action. Keep them 3 for 3. Make sure your thoughts, your feelings, your actions all line up.
Yeah. Oh, you impacted me big time on this podcast. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You've definitely impacted, and so that was a John Maxwell line. The impact compared to that was very powerful right there. And just circling back to the Beatles, what I love, I caught a documentary with Paul, and they talked about, like, they were playing to an audience of like 3 people, like probably in a little tiny bar in the middle of Liverpool, and just, kept showing up relentlessly, just doing the mundane things over and over. And so I just really
8 days a week.
Exactly. And just respect and admire what you're doing, what you're bringing to your customers. Again, this was just a sheer, sort of keep saying it, a pure masterclass on how to deliver success to your customers. I've got tons of notes. Thank you. Shamelessly gave me tons of advice, impacted me. John, we're way over time. How you take last shot, your last thoughts and words of wisdom as our conversation with Chris today.
No, I just think it's emblematic of the people we want to work with at Apparel Redefined, people that really make an impact. I mean, last week we talked to Chad McLean and what he's doing, his purpose-driven mission to help people with PTSD, traumatic brain injury, all types of unseen wounds. Right? And, what Chris is doing with his brand, where he's adding value, he's just not trading dollars with people. He's helping them grow their business, grow their brand, grow their purpose. One cup, one T-shirt, whatever at a time. That's the vehicle, but the purpose is the purpose. And we're just thrilled, honored to work with people that have such passion. I really do feel like that is true. Like one of my axioms that I tell my new hires here is that the saying that there is no stupid question is stupid. There are stupid questions. And the other thing, that's really buzz right now is follow your passion. And that's complete bullshit too. So, your passions change throughout the years. You might be a blonde, might be searching for blondes 2 years, and then the next, your passion changes to brunettes, and my wife's listening.
Yeah. Or bald people, maybe girls like bald.
Or bald. Yeah. So you got to bring your passion. And that was really cool too. So Chris, thank you so much.
One last thing, because you touched on the Beatles, and the thing about the Beatles, what George Martin, everybody loved about working with the Beatles, and it's something you can apply and why people love to work with you, is the Beatles were fun. It wasn't they were great musicians. They were just so much fun. And that was contagious. Like the passion, the energy you see, it's contagious. And just remember, have fun. Like, don't take it too seriously, because no one gets out alive,
No one gets out of here alive. And that, you know what, and gosh, I know we could stay here all day. And that was that document. If you guys haven't seen it, Paul McCartney, man, it's like just that, the enthusiasm that they brought, it was just so contagious. And Chris, your enthusiasm today, and I'm a dog fanatic. The name of your friend that you just picked up there, please.
Yeah, this one's Annie. And then I got another one here, Olive. She's sleeping over here. Annie's just ready to go. Looks like she's ready. she knows like, hey, it's time I want to see the kids.
Nice.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, all right, guys, we'll wrap up. We're way over time. Chris, dude, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Big round of applause for
appreciate it.
you for absolutely hitting a home run for us today. We appreciate you. We wish you just massive monster continued success. Ronin Branding. Again, we'll have Chris's LinkedIn profile, his website, even though he said he only wants referrals.
Yeah,
We're gonna
check.
put it,
Yeah.
we're going to shamelessly put it into the post anyway. So, Chris, God bless you, dude. Thank you. Hang out with us for 1 second, and we
Yeah,
will see
absolutely.
you guys next week. So, John, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks,
this.
Chris.
No, thank